This is Bogus Reviews, and today I'm going to be doing a review on McFarlane Toys Netflix The Witcher Season 2 Geralt of Rivia figure. So before we take a look at Geralt, let's take a look at the accessories that he comes with. First up, he comes with your Netflix Witcher base, and finally he comes with his sword. And the weird thing about this is exactly the same sculpt and everything of the previous sword, but it's actually tinier than the last one. So here is the brand new one compared to the last one from the Season 1 Witcher figure. And yeah, I'm not really sure why they made it so much smaller. The previous Witcher figure is actually smaller, so I feel like the smaller sword should have went to him. The sword also fits really nicely in the sheath on Geralt's back, and it won't drop out or anything. It's a pretty tight fit. So now taking a look at the head sculpt, I think this head sculpt is actually a lot better than the promo pictures. This is a lot better likeness of Henry Cavill. It's still not spot on, but it's a much better likeness of Henry Cavill than the Season 1 Witcher. You can definitely tell who it's supposed to be. I feel like when you turn him to the side, it definitely looks like Henry Cavill. So I do think the sculpt is there. I just think the paint could be a little bit better. He has 5 o'clock shadow on his face. I do feel like his eyes should have been brighter. His eyes definitely should have been a brighter color. The hair on this version is also sculpted way better than the last version. This one definitely looks more accurate than the previous one. He has some paint variation in his hair, and it looks really nice. The sculpt and the collar on this Geralt, the hair just isn't accurate at all. It's sculpted nicely, but it doesn't look like this one. So McFarlane Toys definitely improved with this version of the figure. His wolf pendant is sculpted and painted very nicely, and all of the rivets on this suit are painted on. That's one thing that the last Witcher figure didn't have. I actually hand-painted all of the little silver dots and stuff on his outfit, but McFarlane Toys actually painted all of them on here. Now, some of them missed their mark a little bit, especially right here around the torso. You can see where they're up. They should have been centered a little bit more, but they are actually painted on there, so I do appreciate McFarlane Toys for doing that, because painting all of the little silver pieces on the last Witcher figure was a pain. It was awful painting all of those little silver dots on. I mean, it looked good in the end, but it was definitely a pain, so I'm glad that I don't have to paint these on. As I said, in some places they missed their mark, like they're not centered correctly, but they are painted on. All of the buckles and everything are also painted on. So I think that's really nice. Sometimes silver details like buckles and stuff aren't painted on figures, but these are actually painted on, and I'm very happy about that. The only bad thing is the more that I pose the figure around, the more the shoulder pads have wanted to do that. Since they are shoulder pads, they definitely should have been connected up here at his shoulder. That way it would have stayed down like that. So after this video, I might try and fix that, because as I said, the more you pose this figure around, the more these are just going to lift up. And in the show, these are actually made to be attached right up here. So yeah, I'm definitely going to try and fix that after this video. He has some really, really nice texturing to his suit. It looks very nice. You get the leather texturing all over the suit, here in between all of the shoulder pads. All of the rivets are sculpted very nicely on his gloves. He even has texturing to his pants. The buttons, those buttons actually came out pretty clean. Those actually are centered and everything. Right here on his left side, the belt connects down to the vials on his left thigh, and this is not connected at the bottom, which I'm glad it isn't, because that would have hindered the articulation. It is, in the show, it's connected like this, but on the figure, if it would have been connected, you know, you would have got it doing that, or it wouldn't have moved back at all. But since it's not connected, you're not hindered by the articulation there. He has his vials on his left thigh, and actually have a little bit of paint detail to them. I was surprised. It's not something you can really tell until you get up close, but yeah, the lids of them actually have a little bit of paint detail to them, as well as the buckles being painted on very nicely there. Looking at his boots, the top of them have that nice pattern sculpted on them and the texturing. The buckles aren't painted on down here, but we do get some dirt painted over top of the bottoms of his feet, and that looks really nice. Here is his knife, and it is not removable, it is just cast down in there, but that really doesn't bother me. So yeah, this figure is sculpted really, really nicely, and it definitely has better paint detail than the previous Witcher figure. So now let's go ahead and go over his articulation. So first up, he has a ball-jointed head that can't really look up that far. He can look down very slightly. He can move his head side to side. He has ball-jointed shoulders, which, as I said, the more you pose it around, the more his shoulder pads are going to be up on his ears. That looks awful. So yeah, I'm definitely going to try and attach these up to the shoulder and detach them from his bicep, because with them attached there, that looks awful. He has butterfly joints that can spin around very nicely. He has swiveled bicep, which the more you move that around, the more you're going to loosen this. He has double jointed elbows that can bend in all the way. He has ball jointed wrists that can move up and down and spin all the way around. The way the gloves are sculpted, they hide that joint right there very nicely, just like with his ball jointed diaphragm and waist. I think McFarlane Toys did a really good job of hiding it just because of where the suit is sculpted. And even back here, if you line this up, it almost looks like there's no articulation there at all. That's how good it's sculpted and hidden. That's why I like McFarlane Toys. They always do really good with the joints and hiding them. But anyways, he has a ball-jointed diaphragm and waist that can move back all the way. He can crunch forward all the way, even with this armor on. And his ball-jointed diaphragm can move side to side. And the waist doesn't want to move as much, but you can get it moving like that. He has hips that can do a complete split. As I said, if this strap would have been attached, you definitely couldn't have done that. He has a very slight swivel up in here, and he actually has thigh swivels. And the reason for that is because of the Roach vehicle that it should be coming here shortly. But he does have a swivel at the thigh, double jointed knees that can bend back that far, ball jointed ankles that can move down all the way, up all the way, spin all the way around, and toe articulation that can move up all the way. So now, let's do some size comparisons. So first up, here he is next to the video game version of himself, and there he is next to the Season 1 version of himself. And this version is just a little bit shorter. Since he is tinier, let's go ahead and switch these out here. Let's take the sword out of that hand, and this one, and put this one in his hand. Yeah, that looks better. That really suits this figure since he is bigger. These are meant to be the same person, but for some reason this one is slightly out of scale. So yeah, I feel like this actually looks better because, like I said, this figure is bigger, so he needs that bigger sword. And this one is smaller, so he can take the smaller sword. So yeah, that actually works out pretty well. So if you are bothered by that and you have the first version, you can swap the swords, and that works out very nicely. So overall, I would highly recommend picking this Geralt figure up because he is really awesome. The only problem I had with him is the shoulder pads, but I'm going to resolve that myself. Really, that's my only complaint with this figure, though, because the sculpt is really nice, it has a better likeness of Henry Cavill, and the paint is so much better than the first version. So yeah, definitely pick this up if you can. So that's my review. If you like this review, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.